The Robinson family got lost in space.
Yeah, the series was set in the far future, 1997.
Do you have a name?
My name's Will Robinson, sir. And I'm not a toy, I'm a boy.
Oh, nonsense, nonsense.
Lost in Space looks bright and playful, yet its true story is a storm of hidden mayhem. Viewers remember wisecracking robots and neon aliens, but chaos bubbled just outside the camera frame. Few fans of the show's top star never appeared in the very first pilot, or that a spitting llama almost dragged an episode to its knees. Get ready, because these 20 behind-the-curtain shocks will flip your idea of this classic upside down. Number 20. The Great Vegetable Rebellion. Season 3 threw logic out the nearest airlock, and no chapter screamed louder than The Great Vegetable Rebellion. Picture it. The Robinson crew meets Tybo, a carrot taller than a pro basketball player who wants to turn everyone into potted plants. Fans howled in disbelief. Yet the writer Peter Packer tried hiding the script from Jonathan Harris because he feared the shame. Things grew wilder when producers hired a live llama that kept spitting at actors, splattering dresses, and set walls until the animal was yanked from the chute. The damage stuck, and viewers still call this the moment the series crossed the line. Airing only 1 week before the finale, many critics say this overripe stunt helped slam the door on the whole show. Love it or groan at it, The Great Vegetable Rebellion stands as one of TV's strangest hours ever filmed. Number 19. Dr. Smith wasn't meant to stay. Dr. Zachary Smith, once planned as a one-note villain, nearly vanished after a single voyage. He never showed up in the unaired pilot at all, and writers expected him to betray the family and drift into space forever. But Jonathan Harris saw gold in the coward sneer and flipped the role on its head. He stuffed the part with pompous grins, fancy insults, and over-the-top panic. As scripts tilted toward comedy, Harris's flair saved episode from flatlining, and fans roared for more. Soon the doomed saboteur turned into the show's heartbeat, shouting, "Oh, the pain," while stealing every scene. Without that wild twist, Lost in Space might have faded long ago. Number 18. The special guest star, power move. Harris was clever off camera, too. When he signed on, he asked to be billed as special guest star in every single episode, even though he appeared week after week. Producers shrugged and said yes, and that bold credit stamped a shiny spotlight on both actor and character. No other main player received such treatment. So the title mirrored Dr. Smith's own ego and lifted Harris far above the standard cast list. The gamble worked, carving his name into TV history. Number 17. Quiet romance behind the laser blasts. While audiences watch brother-sister teamwork in outer space, a gentle romance glowed behind the scenes. Billy Mumey, clever Will Robinson, bonded fast with Angela Cartwright, the spirited Penny. Friendship bloomed into dating once they reached driving age, and they even slipped on engagement rings years after the last episode wrapped. Though they later followed separate paths, the pair stayed close pals for decades, giving their on-screen chemistry real-world warmth that fans never guessed. Amid rubber monsters and cardboard meteors, this was one of the show's rare human love stories. Number 16. The pilot with no Dr. Smith and no robot. The first attempt at Lost in Space looked almost unrecognizable. The unaired pilot, No Place to Hide, showed only the Robinson family and Major Don West, with no sneaky saboteur and no beloved robot at all. Their ship drifted off course after a random meteor storm, and the tone felt serious, even plain. Network bosses demanded sparks and color, so writers added Dr. Smith to direct the launch and a robot to shout danger, Will Robinson. Those last-minute changes injected conflict, comedy, and a brand new identity. Imagine the series without Oh, the pain, or those flashing claws. It might have vanished into television dust. Number 15. Lost in Space over Star Trek. Here's a jaw-dropper. CBS had to pick one futuristic saga in the early 60s and chose Lost in Space instead of Star Trek. Executives believed families would flock to a show packed with children, adventure, and bright visual tricks. Lost in Space rocketed onto screens in 1965 and crushed ratings early on, while Star Trek moved to NBC and struggled before rising later in reruns. That single decision changed science fiction forever. Lost in Space blazed hot but brief. Yet Star Trek slowly grew into a galaxy-spanning empire. What if CBS had made the opposite choice? The thought still sparks wild debates. Number 14. The robot suit cost $70,000. The robot was no simple prop. It was a bank-breaking marvel. Designer Robert Kinoshita spent about $70,000 building the fiberglass and metal shell in the mid-60s, a mountain of cash for any TV project. The armor tipped the scales at nearly 200 pounds, and stuntman Bob May landed the job only because he could squeeze inside the bulky frame. Vision and airflow were awful, so May memorized every step and sweated for hours as voice actor Dick Tuffle recorded the lines elsewhere. Painful as it was, the robot charmed audiences and proved how far makers would go to wow viewers, even if one brave performer had to stand inside a moving oven of wires and gears. Number 13. Real computers on the Jupiter 2 set. Imagine flipping on your TV in the 60s and spotting real blinking computers instead of cardboard props. That was Irwin Allen's daring call. The brains you saw were genuine Burroughs B205 machines, the same hulking computers once used by government labs. Their flashing lights and steel knobs made the Jupiter 2 control room feel shockingly authentic. Burroughs built these giants in the 50s and 60s for serious research, which meant viewers at home had no idea what each panel did, yet the tech still looked believable. Allen's obsession with visual detail pushed him to rent the units, haul them onto the stage, and bolt them in place. The computers were switched off during filming, yet their presence wrapped every scene in a polished glow. That bold mix of real hardware and wild fiction helped Lost in Space leap past other sci-fi shows of its time. Number 12. A family tree that starts on an island. Lost in Space feels original, but its family roots stretch back far. The TV series draws from the 1962 Space Family Robinson comic, which itself borrowed plot DNA from the 1812 classic The Swiss Family Robinson. Goldkey's comic told of scientists roaming the galaxy, facing cosmic storms rather than tropical ones. Irwin Allen licensed the concept, kept the family name, and launched them into orbit. Some comic bits, like a talkative parrot and a loyal dog, never reached the screen, yet the main theme, relatives stranded in a harsh frontier, remained. Knowing this layered history deepens the show's messages about teamwork, survival, and bold discovery. Great tales can cross centuries and even jet into outer space. Number 11. Star Trek ears on Lost in Space heads. TV makeup in the 60s was a creative scramble, and sometimes competing crews raided the same supply shelf. In several episodes, including The Haunted Lighthouse, aliens sported pointed ears strikingly close to Vulcan tips. Why reinvent rubber when budgets are tight? Makeup artists who bounced between shows grabbed spare Star Trek molds, trimmed them, and glued them onto Lost in Space actors. Fans never spotted the swap, yet those latex leftovers show how two rival series quietly shared talent, tools, and tricks. Your favorite vegetable green alien might have been wearing Spock's cast-off ears. Instant low-key crossover. Number 10. One mission, two launch dates. Sharp-eyed viewers caught a puzzling riddle right at liftoff. The unaired pilot, No Place to Hide, stamps the Jupiter 2 launch as October 16, 1997. Yet in the next story, The Derelict, John Robinson's journal says it is October 21st, only hours into the same flight. Writers never explained the clash. Was it a simple typo? A last-minute rewrite? Maybe producers thought no audience would rewatch closely enough to notice. That tiny contradiction still sparks debates. In a show that prided itself on high-tech precision, even a 5-day hiccup feels loud. Rewatching becomes part detective game, part guilty pleasure. Number 9. Guy Williams grows restless. Guy Williams entered Lost in Space expecting tense drama similar to his earlier triumph in Zorro. Early episodes delivered exactly that. Straightforward peril in deep space. Then the ratings shot up for Dr. Smith's slapstick antics, and scripts pivoted toward comedy. By season 2, Williams found his heroic captain pushed aside, so the cowardly saboteur could steal every scene. Each joke line cut deeper, turning the star into a background spectator. Frustrated, Williams finished the 3rd season, quietly left Hollywood, and settled in Argentina, where his earlier work became hugely loved. His story proves that success for a show can still disappoint a devoted actor who craves serious storytelling. Number 8. One voice, two vital roles. Danger Will Robinson echoes through pop culture, yet most fans never realize the same man narrates the entire series. Dick Tufeld powered the robot's booming warnings, and also opened and closed each episode with crisp, authoritative commentary. His baritone grounded plots that jump from suspense to silliness within minutes. Without Tufeld's steady delivery, the wild tone swings might have felt jarring instead of joyful. Never seen on camera, he still became the show's secret backbone, weaving continuity through every cosmic detour. Number 7. A starship's astronomical price tag. Inside Lost in Space lore, the Jupiter 2 cost a staggering $30 billion to construct. That number, dreamed up in the 60s, screamed ultimate space luxury and reinforced the mission's world-saving importance. Real-life set costs told a humbler story, about $350,000, still massive for television and far pricier than Star Trek's Enterprise bridge. The extravagant budget went into sleek walls, flashing consoles, and genuine computer parts scavenged from tech suppliers. Creator Irwin Allen wanted viewers to believe the Jupiter 2 ranked as humanity's crown jewel. On screen it felt alive, practically a character in its own right, and his imagined billions made that illusion soar. Number 6. The props that came back from the dead. Think every strange gadget on Lost in Space was built fresh for each planet? Think again. Behind those flashing lights lived a thrifty secret. Almost every new device was really an old friend wearing fresh paint. Filming a space adventure in the 1960s cost a fortune, and each script begged for fresh scanners, ray guns, or alien relics. To stretch every dollar, set builders grabbed yesterday's props, slapped on new colors, shifted a few knobs, and rolled them back under the studio lamps. One sleek scanner showed up in the derelict, the ghost planet, and deadliest of the species, acting like 3 totally different machines. Cameras hid recycled panels with tight angles, while dressers piled on fresh labels to fool eagle-eyed viewers. It worked. Most fans never spotted the trick, proving that smart staging can outshine a huge budget. This silent cycle of reuse became the show's survival plan, turning cardboard and wiring into an ever-changing wonderland. Every time the Robinsons landed on a wild new world, they were really meeting a prop they knew quite well. Number 5. The costumes that won real-world glory. Silver suits and bold stripes did more than sparkle on screen. They earned designer Paul Zastovnevich top honors. In 1968, the Costume Designers Guild celebrated his shining work, a rare nod for television sci-fi. Zastovnevich loved metallic cloth, daring cuts, and futuristic textures that screamed tomorrow. He refreshed wardrobes each season, yet kept older uniforms on hand, so the show's look evolved without losing its soul. Those choices gave every character an identity viewers could spot in seconds. At a time when most TV outfits were basic and budget-driven, these styles pushed the art forward. They carried the themes of adventure and survival better than any line of dialogue could. Today, those suits stand as bright reminders of 1960s sci-fi flair and the skill that stitched dreams into reality. Number 4. Billy Mumi's Star Trek comeback. Well, Robinson never really left the final frontier. Decades after Lost in Space, Billy Mumi stepped onto Star Trek. Deep Space Nine in 1998's The Siege of AR-558, playing Kellen, a war-weary Starfleet officer. For Mumi, a lifelong Trek fan, even during the Jupiter 2 days, the role felt like destiny. Better yet, he performed as a human, dodging layers of heavy alien makeup. Viewers praised his gripping portrayal of battle fatigue, proving child stars can grow into seasoned performers. Number 3. The robot that blinked by headbutt. The robot's glowing chest looked high-tech, but inside the shell, stuntman Bob may have had to bang a hidden switch with his forehead to make those lights flash. Imagine memorizing dialogue, waddling in a 200-pound suit, and timing a head tap on cue, all while half-blind and roasting under studio bulbs. There were no remote circuits or fancy timers. Every flash you saw came from May nudging that button at the perfect moment. This wild method shows the gritty inventiveness of 1960s television, where one performer's sweat turned a fiberglass Hulk into a beloved character. Next time the robot's lights burst to life, picture the man inside literally using brain power, physical brain power, to sell the illusion. Number 2. Irwin Allen's return to the original Robinsons. Irwin Allen wasn't done with the stranded family idea once Lost in Space ended. In 1975, he produced a fresh movie, The Swiss Family Robinson, starring Martin Milner, Williams, and a young Helen Hunt. This version ditched rockets for palm trees, swapping cosmic monsters for shipwreck survival. By removing robots and ray guns, Allen tested whether the core story, family teamwork against the unknown, could shine without sci-fi fireworks. The project later spawned a short series that never matched Lost in Space in pop culture impact. Number 1, a theme song crafted by young John Williams. Long before the Star Wars fanfare shook theaters, 23-year-old John Williams, then credited as Johnny, got his big TV break scoring Lost in Space. Producers begged for music that felt both daring and catchy, and Williams answered with soaring brass and heroic strings that thundered through living rooms. He ignored thin electronic beats common to early sci-fi, choosing full orchestras that made each episode feel like a motion picture event. His melodies lifted scenes that slipped into camp, giving the Robinson saga an epic backbone. The show's opening march changed slightly over 3 seasons, yet Williams's bold fingerprint never faded. Those sessions sharpened the style he would later unleash on galaxies far, far away. Lost in Space didn't just blast off a family of explorers. It launched one of the greatest musical careers in entertainment history.